Warren Fiscal Court, Friday, March 13th, 2020 is now called to order. I want to ask Esquire Mark Young to lead us in prayer, and I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the invocation. And please remain standing after the prayer as Esquire Lawrence will lead us in the pledge.
Please bow with me. Lord, we thank you so much for this beautiful morning that you've given us to enjoy. We thank you for the health that we have to be out this morning. Lord, we're struggling with a situation that we're not accustomed to, not only locally, but nationally and globally. We pray for the individuals that are sick, and we also pray for the individuals that are caring for these people, and pray that you will be with them. We pray for our government and all governments, the things that they set in place will help control and eliminate this health issue at this time. God, we're mindful this morning of those of us that are here in a elected position. We pray that each one of us will do the work at hand for the benefit of all. God, we thank you so much for your son, for the life he lived, and especially the death that he died for us. And it's in his name that we offer this prayer. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Esquire McWhorter, Esquire Young,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings,
Here.
Esquire Lawrence,
Here.
Esquire Gorman,
Here.
Esquire Payne.
Here.
Okay. Everyone received a copy of the minutes of the fiscal court meeting February 27th, 2020. We have a motion to approve Esquire Cummings, second Esquire Young. No additions or corrections? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman, Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next item is to approve a work schedule for the Warren County Road Department.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Payne, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings,
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman, Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if there are no objections, at this time, Squire Young has some friends who are here today who'd like to address the court. Mr. Westbrook, I'll let you go first. I'm going to give up to 3 people on this issue, 3 minutes each. If you could, I think you've already passed out information about it, but this is in regard to the Glen Lily Road, the city's Glen Lily Road, the old landfill. And I'm going to let you take it from there, Mr. Westbrook, if you'll give your full name, address, and continue.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the board. My name is Gary Osbrooks. I live at 6855 Glen Lily Road, Bowling Green, Kentucky. I've been a resident of that community now 4 years this July. What we have done today is we have handed you out a packet explaining why we're here today. We are seeking the court's opposition to the sale of the property at 5301 Glen Lily Road for the purpose of building a Powerplex motocross sports park. This sports park has been advertised as a Disneyland of motocross sports parks, and it's destined, they're destined to become the largest motocross sports park on the eastern side of the United States. If you look at the packets that I sent out or handed out a few minutes ago, we have our concerns. You know, the traffic. If you've been on Glen Lily Road, Price Chapel Road, Barren River Road, Briggs Hill, you will see that our roads cannot handle the upwards of 15, 20,000 people that are expected to show up at these events. There's noise. To the best of our knowledge, there was no traffic study done. There has been no noise study done. One of our major concerns is disturbance of the landfill. Rezoning. Risk associated with the large crowds. Increased demand on our emergency services. And our property values decreasing because of this motor park going in. I spent 3 days going door to door from Briggs Hill all the way down Glen Lily, Price Chapel, and Barren River Road, knocking on doors. And if I spoke to 250 people, 246 of them had no idea that this was even happening. There have been articles in the paper. There have been spots on WBKO and WNKY, but not everybody reads the paper. Not everybody gets or watches the news on TV. It was shocking to me how many people actually did not know anything about this. I came across it accidentally just flipping through my channels and just happened to stop on WBKO 13 News, and there was an article about it, and it caught my attention. So, you know, things that we feel that the county should consider on their decision and making their decision is the road damage and repairs that this is going to cost with the increased traffic, because we only see maybe at most 200 cars a day or vehicles traveling up and down Glen Lily Road. Now we're talking 15,000. We're talking, or 7,500. Even if it's 15,000, you put 2 people per vehicle, that's still 7,500 vehicles traveling up and down our roads. Increased demands on emergency services, environmental issues, fuel spills, and loss of revenue due to decreased property. We want to make it clear that we are not opposed to a motocross and ATV track in Warren County. We are not opposed to it. We are opposed to it at the location that they're wanting to put it in. If you go on the internet and you Google major ATV and sports parks across the United States and you see an aerial view, you will see and notice that most of these parks are put in non-residential areas. This one is sitting right in our backyard. It's in our backyard. During my time of knocking on doors, I discovered that we have a lot of disabled people, retired, that moved up there for the peace, quiet, and tranquility, veterans, and those lands have been handed down from generation to generation to generation. And this is going to be disrupted if this park goes in. Just a few points and I'll be done. There's other properties that surround the park, and if you look at the map that I attached in the packet, you will see what I'm talking about. 2 properties above, to the side, you have Green River Gun Club also there that they have been approached by several times to sell or lease land to them for this venture. We have also put a proposal in for what we could do with this landfill if you decide to support us in opposing this. You also look at the map, you'll see all the districts of the county, and in our district, 5th district, we have no county park. So maybe we could consider putting in a park for us up there in that area. Is it safe to do? I mean, there's just all kinds of, there's other options for this land other than disrupting the lives of a bunch of people that are going to have to put up with the noise, the traffic, and everything else that's going on. And the bottom line is we don't want this in our neighborhood. We're not opposed to it in the county, but somewhere else, not in our backyards. I have a petition here that we turned in. We turned in one to the City Commission on March 3rd. We had 186 signatures. We now have 250. We still have petitions that are being circulated as we speak. So there's still a lot of people that are signing this and opposing this in our neighborhood. So that basically sums up. I know there's a lot to absorb in that packet, a lot of information. But if you can take the time to look it over, we can come back again in a couple of weeks and discuss it more if that's feasible and possible. And we can go from there. We'll talk with our magistrate and see where we stand on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to bring up Kevin. Devin.
Good morning.
We're messing up everybody's names. I'm sorry.
It's one of those days.
Listen, I didn't even know how to pronounce it till I was in the first grade, so it's crazy.
Your name and address, sir?
Devlin Vigneault, 1221 Broadway, Bowling Green, Kentucky. I think we can all agree that our number one concern is the safety of our citizens here in Bowling Green. What I want to show you why this consideration of the traffic 5301 Glenley Road does not provide safety for our citizens. In going out to the intersection of Price's Chapel and Glenley Road, I noticed the narrowness of the road at that intersection that will go into this track. I started research. The car that you see in that is my SUV. It's 6.5 feet from outside mirror to outside mirror. When I went to the federal site of American Association of Highway Standards, 20 feet is the minimum distance that roads can be in a residential, should be residential, and especially a state-maintained road. In measuring the distance at the beginning of Glenley Road and Barren River Roads, it was exactly that. So at the intersection of Price and Chapel and Glenley Road, there was a measurement that I did to indicate exactly what we're looking at here as far as how this adheres to the state standard. What you'll see is at the intersection of Price's Chapel and Glenley Road, a measurement of 14 feet 7. This is inside white line to inside white line. That is way below what the feds say that we need. If you go to the very outside of the road, as far as it can go to the gravel, we've got 17 feet. Still below what we need. Now, when we measured a regular size pickup truck, Gary Osbrook's truck and Gary Sullivan, we noticed outside mirror to outside mirror was 8 feet. So you got two vehicles that need 16 feet clearance between two white lines that are 14 feet 7. I think without a lot of calculation here, we can see that this is a recipe for disaster. Now you add the current traffic flow to the enormity of the traffic that's going to be added with this motocross. And on the way out, could there be a possibility that there's drinkers when we are not looking at the safety of our citizens? The other thing is that I'm going to bring up just briefly is that although the motocross will clean up every bit of trash, they say, at the site, what about all of us that are on the way to the site? Already there's trash that we pick up. At 4101 Glenley Road, the county uses that property as a drainage ditch from Briggs Hill to Hilltop Acres down to this area. It constantly has to be maintained. The owner, Rita Meredith, has to maintain it herself. If we don't watch it closely, trash builds up and what happens? It destroys her driveway. She just paid another $1,000 for 57 rock to fill in the ravine that it causes. We thought we could put in a blacktop to save that. Stuart Ritchie said, you'll destroy that too. Anyway, that is my presentation this morning. Safety first for our citizens. Again, I echo what Gary Osbrook said. We're not opposed to motocross. Bring it on, like motocross. The location is a recipe for disaster. I'm sure you'll do the right thing.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Court. My name is Rita Meredith. I live at 4101 Glenley Road. I have been a homeowner in the area almost 18 years. I know these roads very well, and I've been run off these roads more than once. Not because of bad weather, but simply because The roads are very narrow and dangerous. In one particular instance, when I was run off the road, someone was just turning on their radio and not paying attention. And off I went on the narrow, there's not really an embankment, hit a mailbox and into a ditch. This has happened to me more than once. I have another neighbor that was hit head-on Glen Lily Road as well and was hospitalized for quite some time. The issue is not whether you like motocross or not. We all have interests that we like. For example, is it appropriate, especially as we heard about today, is it appropriate for the location that's being considered? You might like elephants, but it's not appropriate to put an elephant in a grocery store in Bowling Green, Kentucky. No more than it is appropriate to put a motocross on top or near a landfill that could have public health concerns that are bigger than what we are willing to deal with in most cases. The coronavirus has shown that already. So, my third point is that most people, I think, would agree in this room that in your own backyard or in a residential area, you would not want excess pollution, excess noise, mixed with a narrow pathway that goes back to the site. I know that Devlin mentioned that the width of the road was narrow in front of Price Chapel and Glen Lily Road where you would be turning to go to the site, but it is narrow all throughout Glen Lily Road until you get right on Veterans Parkway. It's so narrow you don't even have a center line to consider. So you mix that combination with alcohol and events that go on late at night, it is a recipe for disaster. This pollution is a concern because we don't know exactly what could happen if you mess with a landfill. At the Monday night meeting, when the residents met, some of them voiced concerns about health concerns that they experienced with cancer and things that happened to a particular group of people that lived in that area. The lady that spoke up was living in the area for 59 years. So the water supply, all that drainage goes into our water supplies like Barren River, and we need to consider that, not lightly, but firmly. And then I want to end with this. There are foundational principles that all of you on the court understand. That money is one aspect, but human health and safety is greater than any money can ever consider. We can see that with the current situation of the NBA games being canceled, the NCAA tournament is not going to have fans. When we come to a point where we realize that health and human safety is at our utmost cost, the priority in our life, we're making great strides. If we ignore health and safety, well, then we have a much greater concern than a motocross on Glen Lily Road. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just want to summarize real quick. We are seeking you, the court, to join us, the citizens and residents of Glen Lily Road, Price Chapel, Barren River Road, and surrounding area, in opposing the sale of this property. This is what we're seeking, and we are not opposed to a park. We just don't want it sitting right in our backyard. It'll be an eighth of a mile behind my property, and some people, it will be hundreds of feet behind their property. It's not right. We don't want it in our area. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Yes, please come to microphone though.
Ken. I'm Larry Perkins. I live at 3957 Glen Lily Road. I have been a resident for 33 years. This community is a peaceful community. It was developed to be a peaceful community. It was developed to be a small community because there's not very much out there. And this landfill has been there for 40 years. Now, here's the problem. You've got a landfill that's at the beginning of a watershed basin that feeds into the Barren River that is going to go to Butler County. That landfill was put there prior to EPA standards, and there's every kind of a thing in that landfill that you can think of, from asbestos to lead-based paint to everything that is pollutable that would foul up drinking water that you cannot detect by normal testing procedures. You've got chemicals in there, you've got obstructions in there that have dissolved and disintegrated for 40 years, so basically you've got an underlying cesspool. Another factor is that that area is an inner network of caves. I've got a cave in my own yard. I'm in a 5-acre site, and at the bottom of my hill, at the basin of the watershed where I live, there's a cave that interconnects, little bitty caves, but they interconnect with the entire watershed that goes down that hill. It immediately, at the base of the hill, feeds into Little Muddy Creek and into the Barren River. What this county is going to incur in about 10 years, with all that bouncing and knocking around on that landfill, it's going to ooze out what's been disintegrating for the last 40 years into that watershed basin. And it's going to pose a liability to Warren County in the way of lawsuits, cancers, things that affect Butler County because it's downstream. It's immediately downstream. It joins with the Green River at Waterbury. And it's not very far. It's not more than 3 miles away by the water. So these things are going to impact Warren County in ways that you don't realize. And the approval of this sale is going to result in a horrific impact to the cost to this county, to the cost of its citizens. It's not only a health issue, it's a health issue for the entire vicinity, most especially Butler County. Now, I feel like this is unwise. I feel like this is something that a slick-talking salesman has tried to smooth in and get taken care of so that it's one and done and greed is satisfied. But I'm telling you, you all are going to be the ones who are impacted the most. So is Butler County. And the people that are right around that area are immediately going to be impacted. And it does not need to be approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, just one more here.
I'll be brief. My name is Carol Burt. I live at 250 Suncrest Drive, Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm a retired teacher, so I have a great interest in children and in families. My husband is a retired pharmacist, so he's from the medical profession, and I am presenting my view really from a completely different standpoint. I agree with everything that was said, but I am not only asking for this to be stopped in this area. I am very concerned about the May event, I believe May 15th. They've already got one planned. This is the last thing we need right now in the Bowling Green area when we have a virus that's already closing schools, closing major sporting events. We have to take this seriously. My husband said, I'm not supposed to be here this morning. I'm 70 years old. And my husband has said, do not go into crowds. Our church is even canceled. But this is so important to me. I came anyway. I have 8 grandchildren in the area. I do not think whatever we do with this situation going forward, I am requesting that the May event be canceled. Put it on hold like everything else is. My husband was watching a golf tournament last night. They're not even going to let crowds line the golf course. That's in the open air. And I really, really think that the May event needs to be canceled. Most of the people on my petition do not even live in the area that they're talking about, but they don't want these hordes of people coming in either. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, and we will look into this. At this point, I wasn't certain that the city was planning on selling this to anyone. I think they're going to lease it, right?
They lease it for a 2-day event only for the 16th and 17th of May. And I believe, when we went to the city commission, I believe what they're going to do is see how this event goes in May and then determine if they want to sell this land to them. But one thing that needs to be kept in mind, Your Honor, is it's 270 acres minus 30 acres for the landfill. That is nowhere big enough for them to put the park of the magnitude that they want to put unless they purchase properties around that, that landfill. We would like to see a park put in there. It would benefit everybody. Again, we're not opposed to it. We just don't want it in our community. And we seek your support in joining us to oppose the sale of this property for this purpose.
And I just really quickly want to say something regarding, I know, and this is really fast, I promise, regarding the lease. I believe that the city gave them an advantageous lease under the pretense that they were going to sell the property to them at a nominal value. There's a city commissioner on tape on the Daily News website saying that they were going to sell the land to them for $1. And so they signed this lease saying that they were going to put on this race with 15,000 people in May and then completely remediate the land, including replanting trees and regrading trails within 45 days. There's no way that's possible. And right now the land is leased, or the land is zoned as an agricultural land, which is not allowed to have an activity like that on it, or it's leased as public land, and this kind of race is not a public good.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Osbrooks.
I'm
Pardon?
Allison Carlisle, 297 Meadowlark Trail, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
What was the address again?
297 Meadowlark Trail. Lived there since I was 0.
All righty. Thank you all so much. I don't have an answer to give you today because until right now, I don't know, I'm not sure what authority we have over this, but we will look into all of the statements that have been made here today and try to make a decision as to what, if anything, that we can do.
Judge, can I ask it?
Yes, sir.
So, let me ask one thing. I actually want to know what your affiliation is with Glenley Road. You live on Broadway, is that right?
Yes. I have a number of entertaining customers.
That's fine. I just was curious, everyone else was there, and then you said Broadway. So, what are you requesting from fiscal court to do?
At this point, we're just requesting from fiscal court to stand with us. If this becomes a vote to the city, which it's inevitably going to come to a vote, we want the county fiscal court to stand up and say this is to the city of Bowling Green, no, we oppose this, is what we're seeking.
And can I ask, just for clarification, I just want to ask a question. I've followed it from a little bit afar. The city has approved already this lease for this event, that's correct?
Yes, sir.
So they've had 2 readings on that.
Well, it's 2 day event.
Right. They've approved a 2-day lease for this May event, and that's been voted on at the city, correct?
Yes, sir. We were not notified. We were never brought into the loop on this. We had no idea that this was even happening.
And one last question is, in a perfect world, if this guy wants to do this, how many acres what would be the best scenario? How many acres would it need if it's not there? 'Cause I'm just
Originally
curious
had a
about
deal,
that.
he was working with Scotty's Construction for 700 acres down Barren River Road. Scotty's, they were in negotiations with Scotty's, and Scotty's backed out for some reason, we don't know why. And then all of a sudden, they get 270 acres at the landfill, and they're saying, this is perfect, but 270 acres is nowhere near the 700. If you see the packet that I handed out, you will see the acreage of the property surrounding the landfill. If you add all of those up, it comes out to 683 acres, almost 700 acres, that they would need to build this park.
Thank you.
So that's what we don't want it. We love the idea, we like the fact that it could bring a lot of money into the county. We want it, but we don't want it in our backyard. That's all we're asking, and we're asking for you to stand with us in our fight against this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Osborne. We will look into, I'll become more educated about this than I have been. I can't speak for the rest of fiscal court. They may have been following this a whole lot closer, but I haven't been following it quite as closely as maybe some of the others, simply because I've been tied up with other things.
Your Honor, if you want, there's so many more aspects of this that we just don't have time to talk about.
Right.
So if you would like a meeting with myself and Gary Sullivan, the ones who started this all together, we can fill you in on so many more details that you might want to consider when this comes.
I may want to do that. We have some other urgent things going on in the county right now that we're having to focus on.
Understood.
So may not want to do it this next week.
And that's fine. Yeah, the first event is until May, which we're kind of hoping it gets canceled because of the current pandemic that's going on. We don't know where this thing's going to be in May, so it's kind of hard to say yes, no, whatever. But we've got a little bit of time, and I've still got more petitions out there being signed.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from anyone on the fiscal court? Any other?
You can keep that for your review.
Other questions? Cool. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Can I see that paragraph again?
That's the one that talks about, yes, fiscal. And now there's a force majeure clause too.
Yeah. but
So,
that's-
so there are two. So you've got two, yeah, right here. So you've got two.
Calendar here.
Did I send you permissions on that?
Yeah, but I wish I had it printed on me. Wish I had it printed.
Stephen? Stephen? Do you have a printed copy of the Supreme Court order that was handed out yesterday?
Okay. While I'm waiting on some legal edification here, if there are no objections, I'd like to move up item number 10. Seeing none, item number 10 is to accept the lowest and best bid from Sunbelt Construction Company in the amount of $361,000 and the alternative number 1 bid for $25,345, making a total of $386,345 for the Moore Park new maintenance building, soapbox derby, and gym addition, and site grading and drainage. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
By Squire Cummings, second by Squire Gorman. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes,
Esquire
ma'am.
Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am. Judge, if I can say something very quickly,
Please.
thanks Chris and Aces for the work on that. But with us is some members of the Kiwanis Club of Bowling Green who have been instrumental in running that soapbox derby for coming up on 20 years, and been at Fillmore Park for quite a while. This storage facility, in conjunction with Warren County, will greatly enhance what we can do what the Kiwanis Club can do out there with the storage of cars, everything that they're doing. Every time they have a race, all of the equipment is in town. They have to take 55 trips to take it out there and set things up, and so it's a great thing, and I know they're very appreciative. The Kiwanis Club has spent an awful lot of money as well, enhancing the park and doing things as well, so it's been a great partnership.
Well, I agree with everything you said. One of the things that he failed to tell you is he's also a Kiwanian.
Well,
And I think we have another Kiwanian or two on the court. But I just want to say to all of you how much we appreciate what you've done for the community and what you continue to do all the time for the youth of our community. It's a great, great event, and everything else that you all do. It all benefits all of us. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here this morning. I know you've waited a long time for that storage building.
just 12 years. Yes, give or take.
April 10th, just FYI. And this is where he has to
Okay.
reschedule everything.
Can I hold on to this for a minute? Okay. With the okay, about cleared everyone out here. See. Now, Garnet, do you all have something on the agenda today that I need to know about, or? Okay, maybe you do. Come on forward and let's talk about it a second.
Come on forward, let's talk.
We have our budget and program of work that's been presented to you.
Okay. What item number is that?
I don't think it made the agenda.
We don't have it on there? Well, this is a regular scheduled meeting. We can approve it if you've got copies of it, or a copy.
I don't have, we didn't have copies,
But it wasn't necessarily to be approved, it was just to present.
Present it.
yes.
Okay, let's present it. If we're going to present it, we can accept the presentation of your budget. Your board has already approved it, or is approving it.
Yes.
Yes, it has already been approved.
Okay, good. You guys have been extraordinarily good about your budget. Actually, a lot more frugal with your money than most anyone.
Thank you.
Sometimes I think to the extreme, but we very rarely have any complaints about the way that you guys spend the money.
We have an audit every year, so we
Yeah.
are encouraged to keep it straight. What do you want me to do today, since you don't have a copy of it, of this budget with you? You don't want me to go through every item, do you?
No, if you'll just give us the amount, and if you can we can make a copy of this
Okay.
and present it to each member, but we will, we'd like to get that today and accept that formally. But
The balance brought forward.
is the next meeting too late for us to actually accept it formally for you guys?
As long as it's before April.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Yeah, if you don't mind giving us a copy of that today, I apologize that we don't have it on the agenda and aren't prepared to actually review it, but you're welcome to tell us
Okay.
anything that you'd like to share with us today. We're always proud of the way you all do your business.
Well, we are very appreciative of working with Fiscal Court and the support that you give us in order to operate. I'll just do a little bit of this. Our balance brought forward July 1, 2019 was $571,045. We, at the present time, have 2 full-time employees. We have had a 50-50 employee with NRCS. They're changing that at the state level. It will be 75-25 to where we will only have to pay 25% of that. But our employee that we have now has accepted a position with FSA in Greenville, Kentucky, so she's going to be leaving.
Ooh, that's too bad.
The taxes, we have estimated at about $210,000 that we receive, and we appreciate that. And we expect, let's see, I look at this, but I don't, I'm not real familiar with it.
You guys have come a long way in the last 7 or 8 years, or 10 years, I guess.
We have really done a lot. This is our program of work, and I'll leave these 2 with you.
Thank you.
I just want to mention some of the programs that we're involved with.
Please.
So that you will be informed. And if it wasn't for the support of the county, we would not be able to do nearly all of these programs. We offer technical assistance for education, for different things, working with teachers. We partner with stormwater management. We have a local cost soil erosion program, which we cost share for cover crops. We implemented this year a heavy use area for mud for gateways and in front of barns, where people were having a lot of problem with mud, and we cost shared with them on that. That's still an ongoing thing. We have implemented a pollinator habitat. We buy some seed so that people in the city or county can have a plot. It may be a small backyard plot, but we are furnishing the seed for those.
That's cool.
I think of the ones last year, I don't remember how many we had, but it was very successful. We only had one that considered it a failure. All the rest were well pleased with that. And of course, with our loss of pollinators, we want to do all we can to encourage that. We have free soil testing for homeowners, for anyone else. This is dedicated toward homeowners because there's a lot of fertilizing things that's put out there that maybe is over fertilizing. Most farmers, we will do farmers soil test, but most of them do it through extension or through the fertilizer dealer. We work with stormwater management. We have some grants that we receive on the dead animal removal program, and I think that's an important program, keeping dead animals out of our environment. Our employees work with the county on household hazardous waste day. We have rain barrel workshops encouraging people to catch water off their roofs and use it rather than using city or county water. That's a very popular program. We're doing composting workshops to encourage people to compost their waste rather than being put in a landfill. Working now with senior living facilities, and workshops are about pollinators and recycling. We've talked about before the Envirothon competition of high school students. We now have 4 Envirothon teams in high school. It tests their knowledge of soils, aquatics, wildlife, forestry, and some other current issue that changes each year. Classroom involvement is going on at the Water Conservation District with conservation-focused curriculum. Our employees go into different schools when a teacher will allow it to talk about conservation of different things. We're involved in Stormwater's Streamside Field Day and the County Parks Arbor Day. We now do some classroom grants, mini grants. Teachers can utilize this for classroom gardens, conservation field trips. We will accept a request for anything related to conservation that teachers want to do. We have scholarships for students in all of the schools in Warren County now for students that are entering into something related to conservation. All the schools haven't been having someone, but all of the schools, high schools, can have some. We also have one scholarship to WKU that's offered. We're working with Housing Authority on the community garden. It's in full operation, and it's teaching people to garden in a conservation way and then to eat freshly grown produce. New program for this year, we've been talking to Parks and Recreation to implement practices to naturally reduce mosquitoes, purple martins, and also bat houses. We're going to try to get some of those in the county to hopefully reduce some of the sprays that have to be used in order to control the mosquitoes. Thank you. Any questions?
No questions, Mr. Owen?
I will say, those of y'all who missed dinner the other night, y'all missed out a good time. You had exceptional dinner.
They always have a good spread.
It was a good spread. Thank you all.
All right. Well, we have accepted this on behalf of the county. We'll have an item on our agenda for formal acceptance on the next meeting. So, and I apologize that we weren't ready.
Well, there's been communication with Brenda.
Yeah. Well, we miss Brenda as I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but Brenda is out. She's had some problems, some health problems. Then she's, I think she tells me she's coming back next week. So I'm hoping that will be the case. But I've encouraged her to do exactly what her doctor tells her to do, and if she feels good enough and he says it's okay, she'll be back at work next week. So thank you all so much. Appreciate your working relationship with us. I can't hear you.
Hi, my name is Laura Harper Knight. I live at 2624 Utah Drive. I just wanted to ask about an item that was notably not on the agenda, with this being the final fiscal court meeting before the end of our contract with Southern Recycling. I wanted to ask if there was any progress made on the continuation of the county's recycling program.
We have one more meeting before that, but that's okay.
Technically,
Just to
our
clarify that.
recycling programs goes through July, but the curbside pickup stops at the end of this month. But our contract goes to.
And we have another court meeting between now and then, I'm just making sure
Okay.
it's on the same page.
And the program that runs through July, what does that program entail?
It's the contract we currently have. Stan would be the one that would answer questions, but I can tell you the committee is working on the next RFP for our next program. This was a 20-year contract that we had that's expiring, and so we're working on hopefully getting a new vendors or people. It's up to people coming to us and say would they, bid on our RFP, and we're in the works of that right now. It's not done, but Stan will give us some update later, but it's not on the agenda as far as, but the committee is working on it.
Okay. Thank you for that update. Has the court considered pursuing grant opportunities, including the KEEC recycling grant, to help support facilities to move forward with our own recycling programs?
I would encourage you, before you leave, go back and see. Stan, hold your hand up. He's the guy that, if you have any information that you want to share, whatever, that's our solid waste coordinator for the county. He'd be the one that, and I'm sure he'll share it with us, that's on the committee. So.
Fantastic. I'd strongly encourage the courts to consider.
With the market, the recycling market for selling products, I'm not terribly encouraged that we're going to be able to continue anything like what we have.
Mm-hmm.
But we are looking at alternatives through other trash haulers,
Mm-hmm.
through the actual garbage companies. But right now, a lot of the recycling that's going out in the recycling door-to-door pickup program isn't being recycled anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You can bet that every drop of aluminum or metal is. But I'm not sure that I would bet that anything else is.
Mm-hmm.
It may all be finding its way to a landfill anyway, for the lack of being able to have interested purchasers for the products. It's a very, very bad competitive market right now, and with China cutting off everyone. You're not going to see a big portion of that product that was going to China is now going to landfills.
Mm-hmm.
And people aren't as interested in this limited recycling as they used to be. The cost of recycling something 2 or 3 times is just difficult to sustain, but aluminum and metal, particularly aluminum, can be recycled infinitely. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can drink out of the same can 50 times and not know it. Over the years, it's being recycled, melted down, and comes back in almost pure form.
Yes, I
But-
understand
but-
this is an international issue, right? And extends far beyond
But I
what
would
we're seeing
encourage you
here.
to talk with Mr. Reagan
Yeah.
in regard to his insight.
Yeah.
But it would be more or less insight and guesswork at this time, because we don't have a definite long-term plan.
Of course, I'm sure it's difficult to get good bids on your RFP in the current climate, which is exactly why the county should be investing in our own infrastructure to create recycling. So The KEEC grant is an opportunity to help and support that. And I'd be interested to talk more later. I'm also curious, I talked with Jennifer Schmidt, the county grant writer, the other day, who said she would be interested in pursuing this grant. The deadline is April 1st. So I'd encourage the court to speak with her as well. And I was wondering, is there another grant writer that we should be speaking with as well for the county? No. She's the only one? She's the only one. Okay. All right, wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. At this point, we're going to go back to the next item on the agenda. Thank you for being patient, Sheriff. That's to approve the official receipt for property tax bills for 2019 for oil, limestone, sand, and gravel properties. This is on the Sheriff's report. We have a motion to approve. Squire Cummings, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion, questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire
Yes,
Gorman.
ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next item is to approve the second and final reading of ordinance 1934, establishing Chaps Lane, Gunsmoke Trail Way, Tumbleweed Trail Avenue, and Cacti Court, located in McKinney Farm Subdivision Phase 2 as county roads and authorizing maintenance thereon and speed limit thereon. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Young. Discussion or questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Abstain.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item number 8 is to approve the payroll of the loan to, approve the payoff of the loan to Xerox Corporation of Louisville, Tennessee, in the amount of $1,573.98 for printers and copiers at the jail. And these were contracted through the previous jailer administration. And Jailer Harmon, you have something you'd like to add to that?
I do. This is the last of the last court meeting where we paid off a certain amount to U.S. Bank. These were the two I mentioned that are directly through Xerox. And also the agenda doesn't say that this will be paid for by the Securus Capital Improvement Funds, so it's no cost to the general fund.
So this is in addition to what we did 2 weeks ago?
That's correct.
Motion.
We have a motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Young. Discussion, questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 9 is to grant authority for the Alvin Volunteer Fire Department to sell a 1991 Ford tanker truck to the Warren County Parks and Recreation Department in the amount of $3,000. The Alvin Volunteer Fire Truck was given permission to sell this surplus property on December 27th, 2018, and they finally found a buyer.
We got a fire truck,
Any questions? We have a motion to approve. Squire Cummings, second by Squire Young. Discussion, questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve first reading of ordinance 2009, authorizing a lighting agreement between Warren Rural Electric Cooperative Corporation and the Heritage
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young. Second, Squire Gorman. Discussion, questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item number 12 is to approve first reading of ordinance 2010, authorizing a lighting agreement between Warren Rural Electric Cooperative Corporation and Hardcastle Farms.
Motion. So moved.
Motion by Squire Payne, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes,
Esquire
ma'am.
Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next item is to make part of the record the 2019 Warren County Area Solid Waste Management Plan Annual Report.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item number 14 is to approve reimbursement of $55,912.01 to the Kentucky State Treasurer for the remainder of the litter abatement program,
So moved.
litter abatement grant. It's money we're having to return to them because we didn't spend it all. Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion, questions?
Judge, I hope in the future
We can spend this money.
that we don't have to do this. We'll come up with some solution
I
to
agree.
utilize these funds that's sent to us, and we don't have to send them back.
I know. That's what, I think Mr. Reagan feels the same way. Mr. Moore, when do you all have?
Just so the board knows, the litter program is a reimbursable program, and typically, we're reimbursing costs associated with deputies, labor, vehicle costs, supply costs, those type things. And Jailer and I have been talking about ways that we can make sure we address that in the coming years. It's somewhat of an isolated incident, so I'll let Stephen talk about it a little bit, but we are going to address that.
We met recently, and we've got some plans moving forward, but this was also during the period where one of the deputies assigned to this program was off with his organ donation. And during the other part of the loss of some of this money was we were 19 deputies short. And so the first thing we have to do is the safety and security of the facility. So if we're short, we move people in from road crews and teaching classes and things that are reentry based in order to take care of the primary mission. So we've made some adjustments, and I think moving forward we'll be in a lot better shape.
Thank you. Okay, we've already voted on that. Item number 15, grant authority to advertise requests for sealed proposals for collection, transport, and disposal of solid waste and collection, transport, resale, or reuse of recoverable recyclables material for Warren County, Kentucky. Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Payne. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to grant authority to advertise for cleanup of illegal open dumps. This is 2020 Kentucky Pride Fund, 25% county match.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young,
Second.
second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to grant Judge Executive authority to sign all documents relating to the Department of Environmental Protection grant, including household hazardous waste, waste tire, compost, and recycling. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Payne. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to approve a determination in the amount of $17,450 to Safety Co. of Louisville for the purchase of a Vermac full matrix message sign, 3 quotes, and this was the lowest and best.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Young. Discussion or questions?
I hope this is the first of a couple more. I think we need a couple more, but this is a good first start.
So. Please call the roll.
Okay. Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 19 is approve hiring Mr. Andrew Jones as an intern for stormwater management at an hourly rate of $12 an hour.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item is to grant Warren County Sheriff's Office approval to sign the managed services agreement with ISTT for a 24-month term at an estimated rate of $9,181 a month to be paid out of the sheriff's operating budget. Sheriff Hightower.
Thank you, Judge. We're back to square one in some respects. I had presented on the Commonwealth of Technology for the state of Kentucky. We'd entered into an agreement with them that they were going to manage our IT services. We were assured that with the change in leadership of the new governor that would not affect that signed contract. About 30 days after the new governor took leadership, I received an email saying they were going to terminate that contract. So I got in touch with Ms. Day, who is the new appointed person for the governor's IT services, took over the position which Chuck Grindle formerly had, and so I got an email from her. I requested that she contact me, which she did. Very nice lady. And she said it sounded like they had a great plan, but it just didn't fit the plan that they have now. So her experience is in audit and not as much so in IT. And so the idea was for us to be the flagship for the state of Kentucky, but they just saw it differently. So it kind of took us back. We had to go back to the same bids that we had received before. And so this once again, managing the monetary aspect of this, it still saves us approximately $40,000 a year comparative to what we're paying now. Once again, the beauty of this is our servers will be off-site. The company ISTT has got a new facility that we've been told will withstand an F3 tornado. So there's a lot of benefit to that. And in the first year that they will be under this contract, purchasing all of our servers and all the other equipment that we will need. So that saves us about another $80,000 that we're not, as we upgrade from Windows 7 to 10, we're not going to have to ask fiscal court to supply that money as well. So it's still a great end of the road opportunity here to enter into this contract. And so we just kind of had to switch gears a little bit, and we're excited about what ISTT will be able to do for the sheriff's office. Questions?
Okay, do we have a motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Gorman? Any questions? No questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 21 is grant authority to advertise for a part-time special project field coordinator position part-time for Parks and Recreation Department.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Payne, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 22 is to approve termination in the amount of $1,188.90 from Gary Force Paint and Body to repair a damaged passenger side window on the Ephraim White Park manager truck that was knocked out in an accident on the bypass. 3 quotes were received, and this was the lowest and best quote. Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 23 is to approve purchase of a new playground piece for Fillmore Park from Miracle Recreation. Existing play unit needs major repairs, and this is a state price contract. Vendor number 100078 in the amount of $30,783, $738.
You got there, that's good.
Pardon me?
I said, you at least got there.
Yeah.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Gorman. Say it real fast, it doesn't sound like a lot of money.
I have a question. Chris, is this just for equipment only? We're installing it ourselves, or you're
No, this is with the install cost.
complete install cost?
Yes, sir. The existing piece has been there since the establishment of the park. It's got some major repair issues. Our special projects manager, who is a CPSI, a certified playground safety inspector, it's got multiple issues, and it's just basically age and weather replacement issues.
I just want to make sure it's
Yep.
included installation.
It is, it is.
Okay. All right, go ahead. We've already got the motion and the second. Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item number 24 is to approve the termination in the amount of $3,090 to replace the windows on the chapel at Griffin Park. 3 quotes were received, and Window World of Bowling Green was the lowest and best quote.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Gorman, second by Squire Payne. Discussion, questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item number 25 is approve updated smoking and vaping policy for Parks and Recreation Department.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Payne. Discussion, questions? This just added,
Vaping.
Because we did have a mild winter, we had a multitude of complaints since October in regards to smoking and vaping, both in the playground areas and then also in the dog park at Fillmore Park. And so this is just to add those 2 areas in there. I think it's a good kind of wellness choice to add those areas in there. We do allow smoking, just to let people know that we do allow smoking in designated areas and in parking lot areas and open green space as long as it's 75 feet away from a structure. So all that's available online at warrencountyky.gov at our webpage if people like to read more about our policy.
Okay.
Have y'all had much problem with enforcing this?
No, so far, knock on wood, everybody's just like, hey, please don't smoke on the bleachers, or please don't, smoke in the non-designated areas. And most of the time, people are like, where can I go smoke? And just the parking lot area is great. And thanks for being here. Yep.
Thank you.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 26 is approve updated chain of command for Parks and Recreation Department.
So moved.
Motion by Squire, who was that? I'm sorry, Squire Payne. Second by Squire Gorman. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire
Yes, ma'am.
Lawrence. Esquire Gorman. Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 27, to approve updated youth sports charter and updated code of ethics for Parks and Recreation Department.
So moved.
Motion by the Squire Young, second. Squire Gorman, discussion, questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 28 is to approve purchase of matting for the entrances and interiors of Ephraim White Park, Buchanan Park Gym, and Fillmore Park Gym in the amount of $7,722.75. It's a state price contract. Agenda number 101-00210.
Motion.
We have a motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Gorman. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes,
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, item number 29 is approved first reading of ordinance 2011, rezoning property located at 490 Farley Lane from agriculture to rural residential containing approximately 2 acres and presently owned by Edmund Warren Kinzer Jr. Motion by Squire Cummings. Second.
Second.
By Squire Young. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young. Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire
Yes,
Lawrence.
ma'am.
Esquire Gorman. Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item number 30 is to approve first reading of ordinance number 2012, rezoning property located at 4325 Old Scottsville Road from agriculture to rural residential containing approximately 2 acres and presently owned by Robert and Mary Brown.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes,
Esquire
ma'am.
Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
The next item is to approve first reading of ordinance 2013, rezoning property located at 7007 Old Green Hill Road from agriculture to residential estate containing approximately 5.17 acres and presently owned by Judson and Cheryl Hink.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Lawrence. Second by Squire Gorman. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 32, approve first reading of ordinance 2014, rezoning property located at 0 Gherkin Road from agriculture to residential estate containing approximately 5 acres and presently owned by Philip and Gloria Moore.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire Lawrence. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire
Yes, ma'am.
Lawrence. Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 33 is to approve interfund transfers.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Payne, second by Squire Gorman. Discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 34, approve emergency determination in the amount of $2,236.76 for concrete to repair the damage done at Ephraim White Park by a water leak.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Young, second by Squire Cummings. Discussion, questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 35 is to approve emergency determination in the amount of $2,738.46 for Bobcat of Bowling Green for repairs at Ephraim White Park.
Motion.
Motion by Squire Lawrence, second by Squire Payne. Discussion or questions? Let's call the roll.
Esquire Young. Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman. Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
The treasurer, please present the claims to court.
General Fund, $824,673. Road Fund, $183,587. Jail Fund, $626,079. Stormwater Fund, $40,458. LGEA Fund, $10,500. Hotel Tax Fund, $1,265. And Grant Fund, $33,316. You have to answer any questions.
Make a motion, we pay the claims as submitted.
Have a motion by Squire Young to pay claims as submitted. Second, Squire Gorman. Discussion, questions? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have one other item I'd like for you all to consider that is not on your agendas, but it's certainly on everyone's mind in regard to public health and safety. If you all noticed, there are a number of events that have canceled over the last few days. And most surprising are the NCAA tournament, not having anyone there. When the SEC said they were going to follow suit, I knew that things had gotten pretty doggone serious. I never thought I'd see that happen, ever. State tournament, a lot of things, a lot of changes have been made in the interest of public health. Back on March 6th, just a week ago, Governor Beshear entered an executive order 220-215 and declared a state of emergency in response to the coronavirus, COVID-19 emergency in the Commonwealth. There have been 11 identified cases of COVID-19 in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. That's 11 people who've been diagnosed, who've been tested and diagnosed. Make no mistake, every state has have people in their communities. Every community, in fact, will have people who have been exposed to and active cases of COVID-19. They just haven't been diagnosed yet. They haven't been tested, they haven't been diagnosed. We will, at some point in the near future, I've been expecting it every day. You know, we get reports every day, we get rumors that say that this has happened, and this is happening at this hospital or that hospital or this doctor's office, none of which have been true. But just because we haven't had identified confirmed cases doesn't mean they don't exist. People do catch viruses, and viruses will continue to be contagious for a long period of time. In an effort to segregate people, to create social distancing from individuals who are sick, who could be friends of yours or mine, could be one of us in this room right now. But we don't need to be shaking hands and doing high fives at this point in time. But there are a lot of changes that have been made, hopefully temporarily. And what I'd like to ask you all to do today is to make is to pass an order eliminating all performances and gatherings at the two county-owned performing arts centers, which are the Capitol and SkyPack, starting March 10th through April the 10th. This is to give us a period of time, a little over 3 weeks, where we won't be creating a venue or creating an audience of people getting together who are closely either sitting or standing together and transferring a communicable disease. This is something that it is something that is that we need to be conscious of. This is a state of emergency in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but make no mistake about it, it's a worldwide problem. And the only way to stop it is to separate ourselves from a great deal of people in one room at one time. You don't know who you're in the room with that may have been exposed to coronavirus. Even children who haven't been getting or haven't been having symptoms of this disease, this pandemic is what's been named now, even children carry it. They may not show symptoms, but they can pick up the virus, and they can bring it home to their mothers and fathers and grandparents and so forth. And my recommendation to the court is to implement the procedures that are going to be articulated in a little while with the Parks Department, and I've entered into an order to all department heads to begin additional cleaning. But today, for this particular order, I'd like to stop all performances at SkyPack and the Capitol Arts beginning Monday, March 16th to April 10th, 2020.
I'll make that motion, Judge.
We have a motion by Squire Lawrence and a second by Squire Gorman. Now, I think everyone understands this. They've stopped Broadway plays and performances in New York and across the country. We may not be the first, but we certainly could be getting close to the last to take this sort of an action. We don't want to endanger the health and safety of the people of Warren County in any way after we've been notified by the CDC and Public Health that we need to separate ourselves from each other. So with that being said, are there any other comments about this order that I'm asking you to pass today? Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sheriff Hightower.
Your Honor, Judge,
Yes, sir.
before we get to that, should we also take a motion on the Parks plan that was presented to us, the COVID-19 response plan? Should we vote on that, or is that just?
Well, we're going to let Mr. Comer present that to us.
Okay.
He has planned on implementing it as an administrative order. However, I think it would be beneficial to him to have the support of the fiscal court at the time that he presents it. Sheriff Hightower?
Judge, just want to thank everybody for well wishes that we have received over the past, 24 hours for Deputy Gaines and the accident he was involved in.
That was a shock, and I understand he came through the surgery well. Philip Gaines, I know all of you all know all about this, but if you don't, Philip was involved in an accident with, actually, he was sitting still, as I understand.
He was driving, but like I say, the
Guy hit him right in the side. Well, we're certainly, all of our prayers are with Philip and Officer Gaines and with all of his family as well. Ms. Yates. Okay. Jailer Harmon. Mr. Comer, I know you have a few things, and I want to address one of the things that may not be addressed in writing on your document there, but all of us, when school was let out, we all started having people who can't come to work because they have kids at home. And I know you're one of those people. Everyone has some level of workforce depletion when kids are not in school and people aren't used to having babysitters. There are a lot, well, I guess fortunately, there are an awful lot of people who are out of high school who could be babysitters and are eager to do so. But we're not, I guess what I'm saying is if you have children or your employees have children who are old enough to come to work with them, who aren't sick, then I think it would be fine for them to bring their children along to work with them. And I'm saying that for the benefit of all of the, I don't think that you're going to find that in the case of the Jailer Harmon, but certainly you might call someone or help someone find babysitters. But I do think that it's beneficial and it's okay in this type of emergency situation to bring healthy children to work with them if you can work that out for their work environment.
Absolutely. We
All
can
right.
do it.
Now, Mr. Comer's done an extraordinary job on staying on top of cleanliness and disinfecting and keeping a clean, healthy work environment, and I'm going to let him follow up with that.
Judge in fiscal court, I just wanted to let you know that in working with both the judge emergency management, and then just trying to stay abreast of the state and CDC recommendations over the past 2 weeks. We created, we never thought we would have to, but we created a COVID-19 response plan. We enacted the plan about a week ago, about 7 days ago, and we basically have a 3-stage plan. So we've implemented stage 1, which involved 3 times a day cleaning, AM, midday, PM, of all of our hardened surfaces, including outdoor facilities and features being bleachers. Even on rainy days, we were using product that we had purchased and kind of stockpiled as we've been kind of watching what was going on regionally and then across the state. As of today, at 1 o'clock, we'll be instituting our Stage 2 cancellation of specific events and programs. And this is a kind of a staged approach. Our full cancellations will go into effect beginning Monday, March the 16th, and will run through April the 12th. That's in conjunction with what Bowling Green City Parks is doing. Been talking with Mr. Belcher, their director, and then also Mike Wilson and the Warren County School System in regards to the actions that they've taken. All the actions that we're going to talk about are there to protect the health of the public, of course. We've got the rest of the year to come out and play ball and have fun activities, but we want to make sure that when people do come out to our facilities, they're doing it and they're feeling good and they're well and they can have a good time. So with that being said, beginning this coming Monday, all league games and practices for all licensed and chartered programs with Warren County Parks and Rec will be canceled, and scheduled programs, both public meetings, private rentals, tournaments, different groups that had any type of reservation with us, those will all be suspended through April the 12th. Hopefully after that we'll be able to re-implement our scheduling, re-implement all of our facilities and all of our operations. That date is subject to change, as you all know, so we will keep people updated. In regards to keeping the public updated, we utilize the alert scent system that Fiscal Court purchased several years ago through the Office of Emergency Management. We actually have several tiers built into that system. We use it as direct communication amongst our employees and our management team. We also use it to inform the general public, various groups, leagues in the community about different things that we have going on. For example, last night with the severe storms, we used it to notify all of our county leagues and parents and coaches of the cancellations. And then moving forward, beginning today at 1 o'clock, that will be our primary method of notifying the public of our cancellations and any updates. So we would encourage everybody to go to WCEM.org. That stands for Warren County Emergency Management.org, and then click. It's a very simple process. Takes about 2 minutes. You can pick the sport that you're affiliated with. You can also just click on the box that says News and Updates, and if you click on any one of those boxes, you will receive the updates that we send for that specific group. So moving forward, as of 1 o'clock today, that will be our primary method of sending out public notices. Also, we've had phone calls inundated with tournament groups and groups that have booked special events. Not all those groups have been contacted yet. That plan will be implemented beginning at 1, and then we have incremental meetings with all of our stakeholders beginning at 1 o'clock. It will go through the evening time so that we can contact as many of the renting parties to notify them of our plan. In regards to the plan, this does include the full closure of Ephraim White Park Gymnasium, Michael Buchanan Park Gymnasium, Fillmore Park Gymnasium, then also the Ephraim White Park Senior Center. All those facilities will be closed and staff reassigned later this afternoon at a management meeting that we're having shortly here after court. We'll be meeting with our management team, reintegrating gym staff to park assignments. We're going to basically have in our structure, if you look on the second page, we're going to tier it out so that we are going to be doing roughly 5 to 7 days worth of deep cleaning. We're talking everything that we haven't been able to get to the last week, and we've been getting to a lot. So if you've been at county parks, if you've been in the gyms, everything in that building has been cleaned a minimum of 3 times. And now what's going to happen with the deep cleaning is we're going to go into walls, ceiling structures, tiles, everything that is a hardened surface, knowing that the COVID-19 can last both in airborne transmission for X amount of days and then also on hardened surfaces for, I think, roughly 6 to 7 days. We've also been following the parameters as Ronnie, EMA, and the local work group have been sending out through the Barren River Health Department in regards to precautionary measures for employees. Each of our employees this afternoon will receive a packet in regards to things that they can do, not just as employees, but individuals and citizens to help safeguard themselves and their families in regards to transmission of the virus. And so that will be given out this afternoon. And then we will be working and reassigning staff members after we get done with the deep cleaning within the next 5 to 7 business days. We will be working in basic outdoor field maintenance and different assignments that we have, inventory, things like that. And we're going to be available to the judge and to fiscal court and any other entities within county government that may need assistance, or our community partners strategically. This is an adjustment. We've been through a fire, we've been through a flood, we've been through bad weather, and we've never been through a virus. And so we would ask that the community be patient with us. We've called in all resources within the County Parks Department to help us get communication out, but it's going to take a little bit of time. And so we would just ask that people be patient with us, and we will get back with everybody in time. Just be patient. With that being said, the parks, the actual parks themselves, the outdoor space, those facilities are still going to be open. That means that if you drive into Basil Griffin Park, what are you going to see? You're going to see the gates open, and the park will be open. But there will be no regular scheduled programs. There will be no tournaments, no rentals. So if you want to come out and eat your lunch at the shelter, our cleaning procedures will not stop. We will be doing the same cleaning procedures that we currently have as part of our Stage 1 plan. The Stage 3 plan basically includes everything in Stage 2 and Stage 1. However, as you all will have in your packets, it does implement some other precautionary measures based on what local government, federal government, state, and you all as the governing body may disseminate down to us. So with that being said, we are dedicated at the Parks Department to making sure that everyone has a safe and healthy environment, and we're going to do everything humanly possible to make sure that our facilities are clean and ready for taxpayers and families and kids to come out and have fun with. We just encourage everybody to be safe, to be healthy, and to know that we will be playing ball here shortly. It's just going to be a little bit of extra time. So be more than happy to answer any questions.
I would like to, maybe we should endorse the plan that they set forth as fiscal court. So I'll make a motion that we support and endorse the plan that's been laid out to us.
Okay, we have a motion to endorse and support the administrative order by Parks Department. Second, Squire Payne. No further discussion on that. Please call the roll.
Esquire Young.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Cummings.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Lawrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Gorman.
Yes, ma'am.
Esquire Payne.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, I'd like to add just one more thing if I could.
All right.
Totally non-COVID-19 related, but on a positive, on a lighter note, Mila, who is our intern with WKU, she held 3 social gatherings within the last 3 weeks of seniors in 3 different strategic places within the county. Basically, the meetings were overwhelmingly successful. She had well over 150 participants, over 40 participants at each location. And she has put that information together. We are internally having meetings, even though we're having this COVID-19 situation. She is working diligently here within the next court meeting or 2 to be able to come back and present to you all an action plan forward. And I am extremely proud of her, extremely proud of Leah and Catrice Turner, our senior center manager. They're going to create a senior programming curriculum that will allow us to offer services not just at one park within the county, but at least 2 additional facilities to better serve the senior population. So very proud of them. They're doing a great job.
Great job. Leah, Milo, thank you all so much for the hard work, as always. But certainly this is an important group of people that we want to accommodate and help to promote their social well-being, but maybe not quite so many people over the next few weeks. Okay. Mr. Moore had to leave. Okay. Mr. Young. Mr. Pearson, I know you've got something. Just tell us what happened last night.
Well, we got by, skin our teeth, but we got by. Not much happened on severe weather last night, but we did have about 3 warnings, but on the other side of the coin, we have coronavirus. So I just want to kind of give a brief to everybody to understand where we're at. The judge was instrumental. If you guys have noticed, the Corona work group has been put together since the first of the week. We have a daily conference call to talk about changing situations from the last 24 hours. Our office is in constant contact with the health department. If not daily, it's almost hourly. Kentucky Department of Public Health, CDC, the governor's office, and Kentucky Division. So it's a changing environment. One of the things that you guys have taken on is briefly can explain is to try to flatten the curve. Some of you may have seen articles about that. Instead of an extensive, fast ramp up with multiple cases that's going to come out, this ability to social distance will allow that curve to level. We are going to have cases, it's going to happen, but if we can shorten that spike, get over that 2-week period that they're exposed, and get back to what's going to be called a new norm, because it has changed policies and procedures. A lot of department heads, we've been in contact, we've implemented plans, we've talked to the sheriff and the jailer, and Josh and Chris and I have been talking daily, nightly. The judge and I have been consistently texting back and forth. So it's on our radar. We're implementing plans. We're getting information out to the public. Utilize those basic hygiene principles. Social distancing will help flatten that curve and keep these cases in check. Afterwards at court, I'm going to meet with the department heads to talk about some specific issues that anybody needs assistance with. You're welcome, but I'm open to any questions you guys have. But we've been on this about 6 weeks now. We've been working with it and monitoring. It's a continual cases at the health department. Matt couldn't be here, but every day, every hour, they're looking at what's happening in the state of Kentucky and through the United States and the world abroad. But any questions?
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you for all your help. Mr. Branstetter is not with us. Mr. Appling, as all of you all know, is not with us. He's still in Greenview, isn't he?
He's out.
And
He went home.
is he?
He's at Scott, I think. He's either Sky or home, but
He's gone to Scott. Okay, good. He's been waiting to get in there. But certainly our prayers are with Bob, as Bob has had a stroke, and we hope it's a minor stroke, but there's no such thing as a minor stroke if it's you or your loved one who's had it. So we're hoping that he has a quick and full recovery. Mr. Peterson?
Thank you, Judge.
Miss Alexa is, okay, come right up here. How are you?
Good, how about you? Well, good morning. My name's Khalil Garman, and I'm here on behalf of Operation Pride. We had our annual Clean the Green pickup, which is like where we pick up trash and litter around the community, scheduled for March 21st. We've decided to postpone that to the fall for a later date due to like the coronavirus and for safety measures and lack of volunteers, since kids and elderly won't be able to like go to big events and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact us. That's all I have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Markram? Thank you, Judge. Okay. See, Chief's not here. Okay. Okay, one other thing. Ms. Milliken had to leave to get on a conference call in regard to the coronavirus and the courts, and I've got to get on a different conference call in just a few minutes. But one of the things I wanted to remind everyone about, all the department heads, since school's let out and undoubtedly you're going to have some people who don't want to come to work or can't find a babysitter or whatever. The question's already been asked to me if we could pay them for staying home. No. We can't legally pay someone for staying home. If you've got work that can be done, we can pay employees for work that they're doing. Well, you can't just because for whatever reason they have to stay home. Now, that being said, if they want to take a sick day, we can do that, but that eats up their sick days. So if they want to take a sick day or a vacation day, they can utilize their sick day or vacation day, but we can't legally pay them as a government entity for not doing their work, not doing their job. So, Squire Young, do you have anything you'd like to share or tell us?
I would like to take this opportunity to thank or congratulate the Center College men's basketball team.
All right.
For an outstanding season this year. They finished their season 23-5. They won
Amazing.
their regular season championship. They won their conference tournament. They did get to go to Atlanta before everything was canceled and play
It's a shame.
one game, which they lost. But they had a great season. We have two local young men, Perry Ayers, Dawson Crump, that play on that team.
They had a great season.
Great season.
Good run. Squire Cummings, you have anything?
A couple things. I'd like to, first of all, just thank all the department heads for the diligent work during this time. We're in uncharted territory with some of the things that are going on in our society now, so I want to thank each of them. I want to congratulate the Bowling Green Lady Purples for the basketball championship and the Warren Central Dragon for their basketball championships. We hope at some point they'll reschedule the state tournaments and still let them hopefully compete on for a state championship. We'll congratulate both of them. On a personal note, I'd like to congratulate Sheriff Hightower on his adoption today. His two girls, two kids today. That is a big day for them, and I congratulate you for what you're doing and taking these, and I'm sure the adoption will finalize, will happen great, and I want to congratulate you on that. And finally, I want to wish Brenda and Terry Hill speedy recoveries, and they're both health issues that are going on right now, and hope they're back in good soon.
Squire Payne?
Thank you, Judge.
Squire Lawrence?
Yeah, Judge, I'd just like to encourage everybody to try to limit their exposure to other people as much as possible, try to stay out of large crowds as much as possible. This is a pretty serious thing we got going on here, but it will pass like everything else. We just got to maintain a good level head, try to make smart decisions. Everything's going to be fine.
Thank you, Judge.
Nothing, Squire Gorman? Man,
Not today.
we're lucky today. Mr. Burrow?
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Judge.
Any other business to be brought before this body? Okay, our next meeting is,
25th, 8 o'clock.
is it the 25th? 25th at 8 o'clock. 25th at 8 o'clock. And have a motion to adjourn by Squire Cummings, second by Squire Lawrence.